there. Thank you so much for listening, for watching. Super happy to have you here. Of course, would love to have you subscribe, seriously, because we have amazing content, and the jokes themselves are maybe worth listening to at the end. But we're starting a new series, and the series is on gratitude. And I think it's a really appropriate time of the year to do a series on gratitude. And I think about this, and we tend to think, November, Thanksgiving, and I think also at some point in the year, I'd like to do a series on gratitude when it's not Thanksgiving, because this is a month when we frequently think of being thankful, Thanksgiving. And I think it would be helpful for us to think of Thanksgiving and being grateful as a lifestyle and not just a season. But nevertheless, let's kind of think about some things related to gratitude, being thankful. And I think the best person that we could look at for an example of gratitude is Jesus, right? I think you're like, yeah, was Jesus thankful? Yeah. And it's interesting to think about Jesus being thankful. And we're going to look at that over the next couple of weeks, look at the ways and different situations in which Jesus expressed gratitude. And one of the first ones is a little bit of a stretch, not too far, but a little bit of a stretch related to gratitude. And it's when Jesus multiplies the bread and the fish. And we read about this in Matthew 14, verses 13 to 21. And in this chapter, in these verses, Jesus feeds 5,000 people, and he feeds them with very few little bit of bread and a little tiny bit of fish. And you think about this whole situation, and the disciples come to Jesus and they're like, hey, you dismiss the crowd. They need to go home and figure out their own dining opportunities. How are they going to feed themselves? And Jesus is like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to take what we have and let's see what we can do with that. And so they bring him a couple fish, couple pieces of bread. And I think sometimes, like for me, if I was in that situation, I would look at this huge crowd of people, 5,000 people, not including women and children. So there's clearly well over 5,000 people in this crowd. And, I'd look at the crowd and the immensity of all those mouths to feed. And then, in my hand is some paltry little, fish and bread that was meant for one person, to feed one person. Say nothing for like thousands and thousands of people. And I think sometimes, if you're like me, sometimes I feel like what I have isn't enough for what I need. And that can be challenging. And I think the disciples felt that way when they brought Jesus, and he said to them, what do you have? And they're like, we, and if we're not careful, we emphasize the need rather than what we have. And we're like, well, I don't have anything. And what Jesus is saying in this whole experience is he blesses the provision. He picks up the paltry nothing, virtually nothing compared to the immensity of the need, and he picks it up and he blesses it. And I think that's such an important key thing for us, because in this season, it's important for us to be grateful no matter what we don't have. And we can go through our list. I lack this and that, all the deficiencies, and, they can be both external deficiencies as well as internal deficiencies. I don't have this skill. I'm not able to do that. I have this difficulty, impairment, all these things. But I really want to encourage us. Let us celebrate and let us bless the provision to model our lives after Jesus. Bless the provision. What do I have? Well, and if we continually look at the need and the deficiency, that continues to seemingly grow. And pretty soon we're swallowed by inadequacy, by deficiency. But I think it's very important, if we look and see what Jesus does and model our lives after what Jesus does, then we would bless. We would bless the provision. We would bless. He blessed the bread. He blessed the fish. That's the very first thing he did before he ever broke it, anything. I bless the bread. I bless the provision, the fish. And maybe for you and me, that's a great takeaway for us at the beginning of this season, that we bless. I bless. Thank you, Father, that you have given me, and I've had this job, and I have this situation, I have this scenario, I have this whatever. I have clothes. I have maybe a place to live. Maybe, well, I don't have a car, but, maybe I have a bike. Maybe I have a bus. I mean, let's look at what we do have and let's bless the provision rather than cursing the deficiency. And when we begin to bless, and you're like, well, my talents and abilities. Well, start to thank God for what you have. Some of us have great people skills. Some of us have great accounting skills. For people that can do accounting, I think that's phenomenal. Like, I have no clue how that works up in your mind. That's fantastic. And you say, well, that's not a big deal. But every one of us, we have unique talents and abilities and perspectives and experiences. And you can go back in your life and look at how God has used things in your life and how God has redeemed things and changed. So let's begin to bless the provision, bless God's fingerprints on our lives, and begin to look and see, thank you for this. And it's something that I like to do on a daily basis. I like to go back over the preceding day and thank God for various things throughout the day. And little things, big things, interventions, strength, support, grace, favor. Let's begin to bless the provision, because when we bless the provision, I think that's the opportunity for God to multiply and exceedingly go beyond than what we think is so big of a deficiency. So I just encourage you, maybe as we finish this episode, think about this question and maybe give some feedback in the comments, answer this question. What do you have? What do you have? You're like, what do you mean, what do I have? Well, maybe the easiest way to answer that is, what is one talent that you have? What is one ability, one gifting? What is one talent, ability, gifting that you have? Just list that in the comments. Really keen to see what you would say. And of course, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. You can share this. This is a great series to share with your friends. Hit the little notification bell right there. That'll let you know when we post new content. And we're thanking God for these fantastic jokes. You're like, not really. Maybe. So someone replaced all of the buttons on the elevator. It was wrong on so many levels. So stupid. I agree. But next week will be so much better. Thanks so much.